Okay, so let's get started. Now, the topic for today is called the power of pull marketing in your job search. And I just want to talk about this for a moment. Have you noticed that when it comes to job search, there's so much noise out there. There's all this information overload. There's so much competition. There's so many websites and job posting sites. There's so many articles, magazine articles, web articles, what to do, what not to do, how to sell yourself, how to draw attention to yourself. It seems like everybody is vying for attention, and it's like, who can yell the loudest? Who can sell the hardest? Well, it's crazy. The whole system is completely broken. But this is the way job search seems to be today. Well, you know what? In my opinion, it shouldn't be that hard. There's got to be a better way. It's madness. So this better way that I've developed is called pull marketing, the power of pull marketing in your job search. So the question I have for you is, would you rather be chasing employers all over the place, or would you rather have employers chase you? I believe the answer is pretty obvious. You'd rather have employers chasing you. This choice is yours. You can determine which side you're going to be on. You're either going to be doing the chasing or you're going to be chased. And no matter what field you're in, or no matter what level you've achieved in your career, I believe that you can leverage the power of pull marketing. Now, what is push marketing? If there's pull marketing I'm talking about on the one hand, we obviously have to define what is push marketing. So push marketing includes all the traditional methods, all the standard methods that you've typically used to do a job search. So you have sending out resumes, applying for jobs on the internet. In the old days, we used to answer the want ads in the newspaper, if you can remember those days. Attending job fairs, posting your resume on websites, calling employers and recruiters, emailing hiring managers, even networking. Look, I love networking and I promote networking and think it's the greatest thing in the world. However, it is a form of push marketing, trying to get people to network with you, reaching out to people. All of this falls under the category of push marketing. You're pushing your message out to employers. You're fighting for attention. You're hoping that someone out there will take notice. But you still have to convince them of your value if you are fortunate enough to make contact. But listen, what happens when you push? When you push on anything, it either resists with equal force or it falls away and falls backward. That's just simply the laws of physics. We don't want that. We don't want you to be pushing people away. We don't want people falling away from you. We want people drawn towards you like a magnet. Now, Seth Godin, who is a big-time marketing guru and very well-known author, has said that there are only two ways to get a job. Either you go knocking or people come asking. Well, obviously, we want people to come asking, not for you to go knocking in an ideal world. To get people asking, you should do work that is unique, remarkable, and generous. These are his words, not mine. The goal is to demonstrate complete mastery of what you want to do for a living. Get 1,000 people to know, trust, and refer you. Now, imagine if you were in that situation where people were constantly coming asking for you to help them or join them or become a part of their organization. Imagine if you were known for doing work that is truly unique and remarkable and generous. Imagine in your own career, if you could consistently demonstrate mastery and get 1,000 people out there who know you, trust you, and refer you. That would be an ideal scenario. I think you would agree. So we've defined push marketing. Let's do a little bit of a deeper dive on the definition of pull marketing. In its essence, pull marketing is simply a form of brand and reputation management. You know, everybody today talks about your brand. You have to have a brand. Well, brand is just another word for reputation. It's what we used to call your reputation, what other people say about you and think about you when you're not there. So pull is about getting people to know about you and to recognize your expertise, your impact, your thought leadership, even when you're not present. So as Earl Taylor said, nobody likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy. That includes employers. Employers don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. When they see something they want, when they find a candidate who they're dying to get onto their team, they love that. In the push marketing mode, you're selling hiring managers on your qualifications, and you will tend to push them away. But in the pull marketing mode, employers essentially discover your expertise on their own. It's like they have a big find. They're so excited to find something that they're really, really interested in. It's like a secret. They've uncovered a secret, a wonderful resource. And if they could only get that resource to come and join their organization, how happy they would be. These employers will feel pulled toward you when they discover you on their own, or when they hear about you or read about you consistently, or when people constantly mention your name. So it's a way to cut through all the noise. It's a way to stand out from the crowd. In pull marketing, you'll be generating word of mouth about you. You'll be leveraging social media. You'll be writing or speaking. The goal is obviously to get other people to continually mention your name and to have your brand or your name be top of mind with all the other folks in your community. It's almost like you're pre-approved. When employers discover you on their own, you're already pre-approved. You don't have to sell so hard. You will already be perceived as the expert and thought leader, not just a candidate or an applicant. You won't have to sell so hard or convince people of your value. See, this is a completely different dynamic, a very different experience. It's much more independent. It's more of an entrepreneurial mindset to build your visibility and credibility so that you become a known commodity in the marketplace. You're building your brand. You're elevating your voice. You are creating a very, very strong presence online and offline so that when recruiters and employers are looking for you, your goal is to make sure that they can easily find you. And when they do find you, you want to have an image or a brand that is consistently positive, professional, and compelling. When employers go looking for someone like you, don't make it hard for them, make it easy. Make them find you readily and then notice you consistently. That is the goal of pull marketing. Now, the question, of course, is how can you become known as an expert and thought leader? Well, here's a great place to start. You should stop acting like an applicant and start acting more like an expert. You should stop behaving like a candidate and start behaving more like a consultant. Stop being a job seeker and start being a problem solver. Stop making it all about you and start making it all about them. Some of you may look at this and say, yeah, that makes sense. But do you know how few people actually do this? Almost nobody does this. They're screaming and yelling, hire me, see me, notice me. They're selling so hard, they don't even realize the negative impression that they're making in some cases. There is no comparison between the job seeker who's in the expert mindset versus the job seeker who's in the applicant mindset. There's no comparison. What we need here is a major shift in attitude and approach. So picture this. Picture that an employer or a recruiter is looking for the best candidate to fill a new job opening. They do some research, they talk to some people in their field, and your name keeps coming up over and over again. They see you everywhere, online and offline. Then they contact you. How do you imagine that conversation will go? How do you think it will be different from the typical kinds of initial conversations you have with employers or recruiters? How will it be different? It will be like night and day, a completely different dynamic. In one case, you have to sell yourself. In the other case, they're already sold. In one case, you're begging them to hire you, and in the other case, they're asking if you would please consider coming and joining their organization. And what's it going to take to bring you on board? Those are the kinds of questions you want to hear. That's where you want to be in your job search. So you want to learn how to be the expert, not the applicant. By positioning yourself as the expert, you will really distinguish yourself from all other candidates. This will pull employers to you rather than you having to push yourself to them. Notice that the applicant wants something, the expert offers something. The employer is only interested in what can you do for them? How can you meet their needs starting today? How can you make their job easier? How can you make them look better? How can you assist them in reaching their business objectives? But the applicant, they're all about themselves. I need a job. I need a salary. I need to have a position. I need to get working again. The employer doesn't care. They don't care at all. All they care about is about their own needs. So you have to come from that perspective right from the very start. Every company has problems. Every employer has challenges. They need solution providers. They need problem solvers. They need experts. They don't need more applicants. You've got to position yourself as the expert and thought leader. This will distinguish you from other candidates. It elevates your status, as I said before, and makes you much more attractive to the hiring managers. They'll be thinking, wow, what a find. I'm so glad I found you. So ask yourself sincerely, ask yourself honestly, how are you distinguishing yourself as an expert? And I'd like you to think now about the experts who you have encountered in your field or in your community. Do they have advanced educational credentials? Do they have years and years of experience? Are they authors? Are they presenters? Are they lecturers? Have they received lots of honors and awards? Or maybe it's a combination of all of the above and more. Usually it's a combination. But the question is, what makes these people different from you? How can these folks distinguish themselves as experts and thought leaders, but for you, you can't, or you haven't, or maybe you never tried? How do you suppose these people became experts and thought leaders in the first place? You think they were born that way? No, they're not born that way. My belief is that they decided. Yes, one day they decided. They said, I am going to distinguish myself as an expert and thought leader in my field. And then they did what was necessary to do that. They did all of these things or more to distinguish themselves as an expert. They did what was necessary to change the perception of themselves in the marketplace, to create this brand of themselves as they wanted to be perceived. So I don't think there's any difference between these big experts and thought leaders out there and you. The only difference is they decided and you haven't yet. They did the steps that were necessary and you haven't yet, maybe. This is when people usually say to me, but Ford, I'm out of work. I'm just another out-of-work job seeker. How can I possibly position myself as an expert when I'm in this situation? Or I've had people say, hey, during this coronavirus period, I just have to stay home. There's nothing I can do to distinguish myself as an expert. Well, I don't agree with any of that, because I believe that there is no correlation between your employment status and the expert mindset. Look, if you're a big, well-known, high-visibility expert in your field, and let's say you lose your job tomorrow, well, do you suddenly stop being an expert? No. Do you suddenly stop being a thought leader? No. You're the same person you were yesterday, with the same expertise, the same track record, the same knowledge, the same contributions. So these are all just excuses when people say, I'm just an out-of-work job seeker, or you can't do anything during this coronavirus period. You've got to have the attitude, the assumptions, and the confidence as an expert and thought leader, regardless of your work situation. Then I have other people who say, but I just do my job. I'm not an expert. I just do what they tell me. I just do my job. That's a terrible mindset because it devalues you. You are not your job. You are an independent, free-thinking entity with a lot of value to offer, a lot of expertise. You are not just your job. You are not identified fully by the professional role you play with your employer. You are an independent, free agent with value to offer no matter where you're working and no matter what your employment status is. You have a voice, you have a presence, you have an important message to impart. So it's very, very important that you recognize your own contributions and record them through accomplishment stories. Everybody knows in my business that I promote creating wonderful portfolio of accomplishment stories which clearly explain exactly the kind of value you offer in all kinds of different work situations, addressing all kinds of work challenges, creating all kinds of positive results. So if you haven't written all your accomplishment stories yet, you need to do this. This will build your confidence and will also help you to articulate your value. See, the person who is interviewing you can lose their job tomorrow and you get a great job in 2 days, and now they're looking for a position and you are in a totally different role. You see, the other person, the employer, is no better or smarter than you. They're just in a slightly different situation, which could change tomorrow. You could switch roles essentially in 24 hours. So who's the expert? Who's the one in control? Who's the one with the power? You've got to ask yourself these questions. What's the difference? You need to recognize your value and take stock in your contributions. I believe that you are an expert. Everyone on this line, on this webinar, is an expert. You've been working 20, 30 years. That's a lot of experience. That's a lot of track record. Most people don't appreciate their own value or their own contributions. So answer some of these questions, but perhaps it'll help you to discover your own expertise. Where is your expertise? Where do you excel? All right, what types of tasks are you best at? When have you received special recognition or praise? Where do you shine? What is your professional passion? When do people come to you and ask you for assistance, for help, for advice? What turns you on and engages you and gets you into that mindset called flow? What comes easily to you? All these questions, I believe, will help you to discover your own area of expertise and thought leadership. You really need to do some writing or some thinking or some journaling about this. You need to think back through your entire career and bring up to the surface the answers to these questions. When you do, it will be like a revelation. This is how you will discover your own expertise. And then the next step is to obviously convey this information to employers and recruiters in a very, in a very compelling way. That's what your task is, to identify it, to memorize it, to convey it, to articulate it clearly compellingly to the employers. So what I say is articulate it. If you don't talk about your own achievements, then who will? You not only need to know your own areas of expertise and thought leadership, but you need to convey it, articulate it, and let everybody know about it. Now, I'm not talking about boasting and bragging all over the place. I'm not talking about puffing yourself up. I'm talking about facts. I'm talking about, excuse me, clearly knowing your value and articulating it consistently to your audience. If you don't talk about it, who will? If you don't articulate your expertise, then how will you be recognized? If you can factually back up your claims, then it's not bragging and boasting. You will be factually backing up your claims through your accomplishment stories. How will you ever get hired if you can't articulate your value? You know, the interviewers and recruiters are not mind readers. Just because your resume says Vice President of Operations, they don't know what that means. You have to tell them exactly what it means and where you added value and where you produced positive results. You have to prove it and back up your claims with accomplishment stories. You got to be proud of your achievements and sing it to the heavens when it's appropriate. So you know the old saying, perception is reality. Yeah, perception is reality. Here's the little kitten looking in the mirror, seeing a fierce lion. Well, you know what? This saying, perception is reality, is especially true in job search. This is how you shape the perception of yourself as an expert and thought leader. When other people believe that you are an expert and thought leader, then you are an expert and thought leader. But more importantly, when you believe that you're an expert and thought leader, then you are an expert and thought leader. So we've talked a lot about the premise or the sort of foundational understanding of what it is to do pull marketing, to be an expert and thought leader. Now we're going to talk about some actual, practical, tangible tactics and strategies that you can pursue in order to create this brand or this perception of you as thought leader and expert so that you can successfully employ pull marketing. How do you do all this? What are the specific actions and tactics that are necessary to implement this whole approach? Well, let's go through some of the tactics that I'm going to recommend. And I have 2 pages of them, 2 screens to show you. As Zoe said, we're going to make a recording available of this webinar, so you don't need to feverishly write down your notes or take pictures of the screen with your iPhone. You'll have this information later when the recording is made available. So here's a strategy number 1, which is to conduct presentations, seminars, teleseminars, interviews, workshops, webinars, and then record the audio or video so that you can distribute it to your list. Yes, you have to build a list, you have to build an audience, and continually feed this list with new and impressive information about you and your achievements. Notice what I said before, it's more of an entrepreneurial mindset, more of an independent mindset. Now you're getting the feeling of what I'm talking about. You are your own brand, you are your own marketing ambassador for your own skills and expertise. This is apart and aside from your position at an employer. Second, create your own website. Be a guest contributor to other websites and other publications. Write articles, blogs, booklets, special reports, book reviews on Amazon. Create your own newsletter. Consistently create content on social media and post your own articles and messages there. You can also write a book. Many people say, I have a book I want to write. Well, now's a great time. During the coronavirus era, great time to sit down and finally write that book. You see, there is a never-ending hunger for content. in print and online. There's a never-ending hunger. There's huge opportunities these days to position yourself as an expert and thought leader by creating content or by responding to other people's content. Also, you want to associate yourself with the most accomplished, most inspiring people you can. These are the people who are the true experts in your field. You need to affiliate with them, associate yourself with them, be known as part of their group. I also think it's important to assume leadership positions in professional associations and organizations. Become an advisor or join boards if possible. You can do volunteer work at high-profile organizations. That will also build your brand and your recognition. Here's a couple more examples to position yourself effectively as an expert. Consistently build your online persona by engaging with others, participating in LinkedIn groups, and so forth. Develop a strong and consistent social media presence across multiple platforms. Again, it should be positive, consistent, and compelling. This is all about building a consistent, memorable brand. Do something noteworthy in your industry or your community, which may garner special recognition. Enter yourself into professional contests or competitions where you have a reasonable chance of winning an award or being honored. And then, if you do win an honor or an award, promote it. Not in an obnoxious way, but just as a fact. Just state the fact that you just were recognized or won a certain award or gained a specific recognition. See, folks, you want to become known. You want to become known as the guy or the gal who, whatever, who, is the best editor in the whole region. Or when people need an architect, your name should come up first whenever people are talking about local architects. Or if you're a designer, become known as the best designer who everybody wants to work with in the industry and in the area. Take this seriously. Become known as the person who everyone knows about and thinks about whenever they need X or whatever you happen to do for a living. Then you'll know you've succeeded in building your brand and in positioning yourself as an expert and thought leader. Now, the best plan, of course, is, got allergies. The best plan, of course, is to do all of these strategies. At one time or another, I believe that you should try to employ all of these strategies, but you don't have to do them all at the same time. That would be too much. You can employ these strategies at different times in your career whenever appropriate, but I suggest you start today. These activities will require extra effort. I'm not going to kid you. It takes work. It takes commitment. It takes extra effort. But I believe that the results really are worth it. I know this from my own work and my own career, and by working with so many clients, helping them to do this in their own careers. Believe me, the results will speak for themselves. You will start to see positive results almost immediately when you adopt this mindset. I believe that pull marketing is actually far more easy than push marketing in the long run. Yeah, this looks like a lot of work. Yes, at the beginning it may be, but it becomes a habit. It becomes like brushing your teeth. It's just second nature. You just do it. And once you get into that routine, you'll start to see results almost immediately. And of course, you need to maintain the pull marketing behavior throughout your career, regardless of your employment situation. This is not something you do just when you're in job search or when you're in transition or when you're starting a new business or establishing a new consulting practice, whatever it may be. This is forever, until the day you retire and maybe even after that. It's a habit. It's just like breathing. So in summary, as we start to conclude the presentation, I would say this: Consistently implement these pull marketing strategies. The best way to distinguish yourself as an expert and thought leader is to use these pull marketing strategies. You need to create an army of people that know you, trust you, and refer you, like we said earlier. You will no longer have to rely on outmoded, exhausting push marketing methods. Once you get this ball rolling, once you get the pull marketing routine underway, it actually gets easier, not harder. This will leave you with greater control over the entire hiring process. You'll have more of a sense of control over how others perceive you and how they respond to you. Employers and recruiters will chase after you instead of you having to always chase after them. That's a wonderful thing when your phone rings and it's an employer asking if you have some time to discuss the possibility of coming to work with them. Or when a recruiter calls you and says, I've gotten your name from 12 other people. You must be the person. I got to meet you because I have a couple opportunities I want to talk to you about. That's a good day. That's a great experience and a great feeling when you see the tide turn, okay? When the perception shifts and when now you are the local expert and thought leader instead of just another applicant. And you know what? I believe that when you employ this approach consistently, you may never have to look for another job in your life. Think about it. Think about the biggest experts you know, the true thought leaders in your niche. You think they're out there looking for jobs all the time? Do you think if they happen to lose a position, you think it's hard for them to find another opportunity? No, it's not. These people are always being offered opportunities. They get to pick and choose where they want to work. And if they are out of work or lose a position, it's not long before they land another opportunity. The true thought leaders and experts, they're not sort of desperately scrounging around for job offers. They have opportunities presented to them all the time. They always have options, choices. And I believe that that person could be you. I really believe that you have it within your power to adopt this mindset, to implement these pull marketing strategies so that you may never have to look for another job in your life. Now, as we wrap this up, I'll simply say, if you have other questions or comments, here's how you can contact me. I would be happy to talk to you about you or your situation. And please connect online through these social media platforms, and certainly reach to me through LinkedIn, and let's establish a dialogue if you want to talk, if you have questions. Okay, I think that was it for our current questions, but as I said before, here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out. Please connect with me on LinkedIn if we haven't done that already. I hope this has been of value to you. I hope that you caught a few good ideas and some new strategies to pursue. Remember that it's not all about you, it's about them. What can you do for them, the employer? Come from a spirit of generosity. Become known as a person who gives before they get. Become known as a person who has a lot to offer, who has a great message to impart. If you start there, you'll do very, very well. Really make a commitment today, right now, to shift from all the push marketing into the pull marketing, which is a much more intelligent and productive approach. Thanks for your attention. I appreciate your time.
Beacon is the premier executive networking organization serving the Mid-Atlantic region. To learn more, go to beaconforlife.org.